For the last few days, I've been seeing stories about Africans trapped in Ukraine trying to get out. Let's see here. BBC has one Korean Sky. Africans in Ukraine are crying out for help. Let's see another one here. Africans trapped in Ukraine say they are blocked from leaving because of the color of their skin. Another one here. Russia-Ukraine conflict. Some Africans missing, others trapped. Another article. Africans and South Asians fleeing Ukraine attacked by far-right nationalists in Poland. Report says. See. Not sure what this one is here. There's been hundreds of Africans trapped in Ukraine. War zone. Okay, so let's go back to the BBC article. See if I can play this.
Every day in the chat is just help, help, please, can you help us out, please, please, can anybody help? There's pain. Trying to put the buses together ourselves without any support from any convoy or anybody who can assure their safety ultimately, we may be actually putting their lives in danger. So now we're just trying to raise awareness of the situation and appeal for help at the powers at be.
Okay, so let's stop right here. Let's see. So, this lady here was speaking, let's see, until recently, Zimbabwean student Corinne Sky was studying medicine in Ukraine. Once the fighting started, she decided to flee. It took her 4 days to reach Romania. Using Twitter and Telegram, Corinne has since been helping African students still trapped in Ukraine. Let's go to this. It's another article here. Africans trapped in Ukraine say they're blocked from leaving because of the color of their skin. African students and families trapped in Ukraine say they're being blocked from boarding trains or crossing borders to neighboring countries as Russia continues to attack the European country. What has been worrying many since last week is the number of African students stranded in Ukraine at the moment. Apart from many Africans traveling to Ukraine to work, there are those who go there to study thanks to the European countries' affordable tuition fees and its ties with Africa. Currently, Morocco, Nigeria, and Egypt are the African countries with the most students in Ukraine, with Morocco having about 8,000 students and Nigeria with 4,000. Now, many are concerned about their safety. Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said last week it was putting in place measures to keep its nationals in Ukraine safe and to facilitate the evacuation of those who wish to leave as soon as airports open. Nigerian students and other Africans in Ukraine have since been speaking on Twitter about their plight while creating group chats on Telegram and WhatsApp where they are sharing videos that appear to show Africans being blocked from fleeing to safety. Ukrainian border personnel are reportedly helping their fellow citizens cross over to safety first before foreigners, which is kind of unusual that you helping people born in their own country to escape their own country instead of trying to help the foreigners get out. I believe NZ, a student said while trying to board a train in Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, to safety, he realized that children were the first being allowed to board, followed by white women, white men, and then Africans. Poland has also been accused of refusing asylum to black refugees while allowing in white Ukrainians. Black Africans are being treated with racism and contempt in Ukraine and Poland. West cannot ask African nations to stand in solidarity with them if they cannot display basic respect for us, even in a time of war. Ignored in a pandemic and left to die in war? Unacceptable, Dr. Ayuale Alakija, a special envoy at the World Health Organization, said on Twitter. Osaruman, a Nigerian national who has lived in Ukraine since 2009, told The Independent that he and his family and other migrants were told to get off a bus about to cross the border on Saturday. No blacks, officials allegedly told him. In all of my years as an activist, I have never seen anything like this. When I look into the eyes of those who are turning us away, I see bloodshot racism. They want to save themselves, and they are losing their humanity in the process, said the father of three, who said he was stranded at the train station in Kiev alongside thousands of others. African embassies have also been criticized for not doing enough to evacuate their citizens. When the shelling started, a lot of people made their way toward Poland as an impulse reaction. When they got to the border, they realized it was just Ukrainians getting access into Poland. We tried contacting the embassy, but we got no reply. We just need to cross the border and know that we are safe. and within a short period of time, we will find our way back to our country. One Nigerian student who asked not to be named was quoted by the Irish Times. Flights are grounded, hence African governments are finding it difficult to support their students. On Tuesday, Ghana's Ministry of Foreign Affairs tweeted that it was gravely concerned about the security and safety of its over 1,000 students and other Ghanaians in Ukraine. It went ahead to give contact numbers for officials who could help Ghanaians in Ukraine cross borders. At the moment, more than 360,000 people have fled Ukraine to countries including Poland, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova, as stated by Filippo Grandi, the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. Russian President Vladimir Putin launched a military operation in Ukraine on Thursday, with explosions heard across the country. Despite international condemnation, Russian troops attacked Ukraine on multiple fronts, from Belarus, Russia, and Crimea, in what experts said could be the start of war in Europe over Russia's demands for an end to NATO's eastward expansion. For a long time, there had been tensions between Russia and Ukraine, a former Soviet republic, but the situation started getting worse in early 2021 when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged U.S. President Joe Biden to let Ukraine join NATO. Russia didn't like this and started sending troops near its Ukraine border for training exercises in spring last year, and later increased it. Ukraine said on Sunday that more than 200 civilians have been killed in the escalating violence. So this article here goes back, let's see, this was February 28th, Monday, February 28th, and today, as I'm reading this is the 5th of March. So this is 5 days since. Okay, so there used to be a commercial going back some years. It says this was about a Wall Street investment firm. It used to say, when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens. And I'm saying that because when the United States government speaks, most people tend to listen. The United States government was warning its citizens to get out of Ukraine. Not only that, what was more ominous was that the United States was telling its citizens, if you were left behind, right? If you were left behind when the conflict starts, we're not sending in any troops to rescue you. Now think about that. You have the most powerful nation on earth, right? With its military. We got all kinds of special forces, all kinds of stuff like that can drop people behind, certain lines, parachute people in. And they're saying, if you left behind and the shooting starts, we're not coming to rescue you. You're on your own. So we're telling you right now to get out. And the reason I'm saying this is because, of course, the message was toward the American citizens. But if you're from any other place in the world, including Africa, and you hear the United States government telling its citizens to get out, right? To get out, you shouldn't see it as a joke because, the United States has the CIA, Central Intelligence Agency, and their intelligence tend to be very good. I mean, okay, you go back to Iraq, maybe it wasn't that great at all with what happened in Iraq. But this time around, when they were saying and they were predicting movements and so forth, and what the Russians were doing, and the war is imminent, and they said it's to get out, I think what should have happened, and I don't know, maybe somebody can comment on this. I would like to see how many African people really got out when the U.S. was telling its own citizens, you get out. Because if you don't get out, we're not going to have the Marines or anybody coming to rescue you. You on your own. You on your own. And I'm not sure if anybody listened, because I'm seeing all these people trying to get out. And, and now they complain about racism and stuff like that. Well, I don't know. It's very hard for me to comment either way, whether it has to do with racism or whether they're just trying to save their soul, So it could be either way. Who knows? Very hard to say. Let's see another one here. These people are sitting down, right, with blankets around them, obviously trapped. Crisis in Ukraine. So far, Ghana and Tunisia have been able to successfully evacuate their nationals back home, as most foreigners and this indigenes of Ukraine flee the Russian invasion, while these countries put measures in place to bring the rest of their national homes. Countries like Kenya and Nigeria are yet to welcome their nationals back home. Till then, Poland and Romania have become a safe haven for the stranded Africans whose only hope is to arrive home safely. On Wednesday, March 2nd, the Kenyan government had announced the arrival of one person back home, while 74 others are in Poland. 2 are in Romania and 2 are in Hungary. In the midst of all these, there are reports of some Nigerian students who have been reported trapped near Ukraine in the attempt to flee. A 22-year-old Nigerian medical student, Fehentola Moses, recounted his unsuccessful attempts to leave Sumy in northeast Ukraine, where there has been fighting with Russian troops. Sumy is also near another front line in Kharkiv. Through WhatsApp messages and voice notes, the Nigerian student spoke of how he was unable to leave the city after his university told him that the train lines nearby were controlled by Russian forces. 5 Nigerians have even been declared missing. Aziza Aina, a Nigerian student in Poland, told the Nigerian media that no one has seen or heard from the missing persons as of Tuesday, March 1st, 2022. She added that none of the people who are currently sheltered in Poland has said anything about seeing them yet. What we just do is post their pictures and ask who has seen these persons, and by doing that, we have been able to find like 3 people, not out of this, missing 5. Okay, so this article goes on a little more here. These Nigerian students can now heave a sigh of relief as the Federal Executive Council on Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022 approved 8.5 million, right? This is Nigerian dollars to facilitate the immediate evacuation of 5,000 Nigerians from Ukraine, Poland, Romania, Hungary, and Slovakia. The approval was announced by Zubaru Dada, Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. He said the evacuees include 940 from Romania, 150 from Slovakia, and 350 from Poland who have registered to leave. About 5,000 Nigerian students have been affected by the ongoing war in Eastern European countries. The first batch is expected to arrive on Thursday. So, let's see, is there a date on this article here? Okay, so this is March 3rd. So this is like two days ago. So, this is kind of like positive news here. Now this one here says Africans and South Asians fleeing Ukraine attacked by far-right nationalists in Poland, reports say. Several African and South Asians who crossed the border into Poland after fleeing Ukraine have been attacked by Polish nationalists, the Guardian reported. Men dressed in black attacked non-white people who had arrived at the Przemysl railway station and chanted, "Przemysl always Polish, and go back to your country," the outlet reported, citing journalists from the press agency OKO, who first reported the attacks. Police intervened in the incident in which 3 Indians were beaten up, leading to one of them being hospitalized, the Guardian said. Attackers drove around in cars with baseball bats. Wow, I had no idea they played baseball in Poland, My goodness. With baseball bats and bottles threatening non-white refugees. Polish Now this is really disgusting to think that, people are fleeing. These people are not like trying to stay in Poland, These are not like a average African migrant who's coming looking for work or something like that, or a new life. These are people probably mostly like students who've been going to school in Ukraine. And they're trying to flee. And one way out is through Poland. That's one of the ways out. And here these people are trying to say, go back to your own country. Well, that's exactly what they've been trying to do. Really. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to go back to their own country. They don't want to stay in Poland. I was with my friends buying something to eat outside. Sarah, 22, from Egypt, a student in Ukraine, told The Guardian. These men came and started to harass a group of men from Nigeria. They wouldn't let an African boy go inside a place to eat some food. Then they came towards us and yelled, "Go back to your own country." I get the impression that there's a lot of unemployment in Poland because people seem to have a lot of time on their hands. Press agency OKO shared a video on social media in which aid workers described being intimidated and attacked near Przemysl station. See? Is this the one here? Let me see if I can play it.
Zebrała się policja, cały czas jesteśmy pod dworcem kolejowym w Przemyślu. Policja powiedziała uchodźcom, którzy dotarli tutaj najprawdopodobniej z Ukrainy, żeby zawrócili z powrotem na dworzec kolejowy z uwagi na jej bezpieczeństwo.
We're from the organization Humanity First Germany. We are an NGO working here, trying to help the people, the refugees coming from the Ukraine. We just were going to our car to leave for home, and on the way we were stopped by some people telling us to go back to the train and to leave the country. And we just went away and tried it once again when they were gone, and then they came again and slapped us and tried to hit us, and now we just came back here and trying to find another way to get to our car.
Actually, we try to talk with the police. Maybe they can escort us to our car, but they refuse us and tell us risk is physics and it's your risk.
Jesteśmy właśnie na dworcu kolejowym w Przemyślu. Wcześniej widzieliśmy grupę kilkudziesięciu mężczyzn, którzy prawie zaatakowali trójkę mężczyzn o śniadej skórze. Teraz zbiera się tych osób coraz więcej. Każą im wracać na dworzec. Są agresywni.
Okay, so that's it here. The guy from the humanitarian group said what happened. There are several far-right groups active in Poland known for hosting an annual nationalist rally to mark Independence Day, often displaying racist and white supremacist slogans. In the last parliamentary election in October 2019, the far-right coalition party Confederacka Wolnorsk, it's a hard name to pronounce, gained 6.8% of the vote, gaining them 11 seats in parliament, according to the monitoring group Hope Not Hate. Its candidate for president election, Christoph Bosak, achieved a similar result, but was chosen by 20% of voters under 30. Many African and Indian students trapped in Ukraine following the Russian invasion had previously detailed being discriminated against by authorities as they tried to cross the border, first reported by Insider. So this is like what they mean by being between a rock and a hard place. I mean, they trying to get out, and they had a hard time being discriminated, right? Trying to get out of Ukraine. Some couldn't even get on the trains, you know. They say, well, women and children first, right? And the woman, like the guy reported earlier, white woman first, and children. And then when they reach on the other side in Poland or what have you, they just find themselves being discriminated again. Now, I'm old enough to remember when Poland was like behind the so-called Iron Curtain, when it was a communist country, and you go back days of Lech Walesa and so forth. And life was very, very different back then. You know, all this kind of stuff that these people are doing, seeing going back to your country and all this stuff. No, you couldn't have that back in those days. You know, when Poland was behind the Iron Curtain and a communist country. No, these are like fascist people, and Poland was the opposite. It was a communist, a leftist country. In a report released Friday, Human Rights Watch said people of African descent were being prevented from leaving Ukraine in the first place, apparently to save transit space for white Ukrainians. Rugiatu Fate Maxi, a U.S. citizen born in Sierra Leone, told the group that a driver announced that all blacks need to get off the bus. Police in Poland, meanwhile, warned that groups linked to the far right have been circulating fake reports on social media about non-white refugees arriving from Ukraine committing violent acts. in Poland, and I have to laugh because see, this is the kind of stuff, you know, that creates fear and resentment. So here these people fleeing for their lives, trying to escape to go to their countries, and they tainted with committing violent acts in Poland. Non-white refugees. Yeah. Presumptive Police Chief Mariusz Siaka told European outlet Euractiv there is false information in social media that serious criminal offenses have taken place in presumptive and border counties, burglaries, assaults, and rape. Wow, it sounds like a chapter out of the old South in the United States. That's how they used to deal with black people. You know, you use the word rape white woman or what have you, and yeah, like the Scottsboro boys, and then you have lynching and so forth. You know, based on false accusation. We, the Polish police, government, and all of Europe have to fight with disinformation and fake news that appear related to this issue and could cause an escalation of certain behaviors, he said. Chaka said that the disinformation undermined the country's efforts to welcome those fleeing violence and suggested Russian actors could be responsible. Poland has been at the forefront of efforts to provide refuge for those escaping from Ukraine. Well, I wouldn't I wouldn't blame the Russian. I just think it has to be the Polish far right group. You don't need the Russian. The Russians are too busy engaging in the stupid war that started than to be trying to taint black people fleeing into Poland as rapists and committing burglaries and all this kind of stuff, committing crime. The Polish government has said foreigners without a valid visa can enter and remain for 15 days. It has committed to taking up to 1 million people. See? So the government of Poland is very different from the far-right people. The far-right trolls also targeted African refugees by giving them misleading advice on Telegram groups they use to communicate and advise traveling safely, as detailed in a Medium post. One shown called Nigerian Leaving Ukraine Hukuma, which has over 100 users, advised Nigerians to wear yellow or red armbands to show that they are neutral in the conflict. The advice aims to spread confusion as Russian soldiers and Ukraine's civil defense forces use red and yellow armbands, respectively, to identify themselves, the Medium post noted. One of the group's administrators had a profile picture displaying a white supremacist OK sign, the Medium poster noted, and the same administrator now has a display photo with a flag of Novorossiya. And this means New Russia. It's a historical term of the Russian Empire, now used by pro-Russia separatist rebels in parts of Ukraine. So this is a lengthy article here. Now, I'm going to jump over here. Let's see what else is here. So hundreds of Africans trapped in Ukraine. This is by The Voice. Basically saying the same thing. A mother and baby on the Polish-Ukraine border. Right. Spent up to 3 freezing days and nights on the Poland-Ukraine border, prevented from leaving the war zone, according to multiple sources. Africans have reported being whipped by troops near the Polish border, and mobile phone footage shows soldiers pointing automatic weapons at the men and women attempting to flee the conflict following the Russian invasion. Videos show a van driving into a crowd of Africans who protest that they're students from Ukraine, and troops in Ukraine who appear to be blocking Africans from boarding rescue trains. See, this is on YouTube, so I'm not gonna play this one. So this is very sad, but to reiterate, as I said earlier in my monologue, the United States government had warned its own citizens, if you Americans, to get out of Ukraine because the war is imminent, it's coming. And unfortunately, many people in the African diaspora or students, they didn't pay attention to that. I mean, so if the United States government is telling citizens to get out, and we're not going to send the Marines, we're not going to send our armed forces to capture you, because once the Russians invade and they're underground Ukraine, we do not want to confront the Russian forces. We do not want to have a war with Russia. So therefore, we're not going to have our forces in there trying to get you out. So if you stay behind, you trapped there, we're not coming to get you. So this is your time to leave. And unfortunately, whether they were Africans or whether they were Indians, Pakistani, North Africans, from Tunisia, Morocco, nobody listened, nobody paid attention to what the United States government was telling its own citizens, which is to get out of Ukraine and to get out now.